How are you all doing? Good? Tea, coffee, all sorted, more or less caffeinated. So obviously, we are getting towards the end of the day, so that's great. I have 30 minutes to speak, so this is different from the panel. Everyone's gone. This is me, that's it. To speak with you guys for 30 minutes. No amount of coffee is going to help, I can tell you that. So why don't we keep it a little bit more interactive? What do you think? Wouldn't that be better? So I'm not going to stand here and speak for all 30 minutes. We're going to keep it a little bit more casual, more of a conversation. My topic is on innovation getting real. Innovation gets real. It's a lot grammatically going on there, so we're not going to touch that. And I just want to touch base on what Peter mentioned right before in his panel. Buzzwords, right? Can you think of a bigger buzzword than innovation in the last 10 years that's been going around? Because everyone talks about innovation. Everyone has a certain perspective on what innovation means, what does it look like, who should be innovative, who should not be innovative, what initiatives count as innovation, what doesn't count as innovation. It's kind of like a lot going on there, right? So what I really want to do is break down that buzzword and then talk a little bit about how do you take something which is a bit of a buzzword and translate it into a little bit more tangible outputs or tangible outcomes, really. And that's where we are going with this. Just so we are in the context, we are talking about corporate innovation. So we're all part of some corporates here. I don't work for a startup. I work for a large corporate. So we'll just keep it in context here as well. Now, before we go any further, because since this is a room full of people who really understands innovation, I have just a quick question for you, just an ABC. When did you first learn about innovation? Was it in high school? Raise your hands if it was in high school. Okay? Was it in college? Raise your hands if it was in college, all right? How about on the job? Who will not raise your hands no matter what I say? Why is it that the majority of you learned about it on the job? Interesting, isn't it? Not in high school, not in college, but on the job. Why? It came in the last 10 years, so probably it was not taught in schools or universities when we were studying. Yes, I know we're all letting our age go away there a little bit, but that's okay. What else? Oh, very good point. So nothing in school, particularly in high school, could be about innovation because we're learning about things that already happened. We're already thinking about structure. We're already talking about things that everyone really knows about. Good point, right? Of late, I know for a fact that some universities, especially at business school level, are starting to introduce innovation into their curriculum because as a new job, as sort of a new career profession that came up, innovation is now becoming a lot more common, right? At least in the last 5 or 6 years. But even today, the majority of the learning is happening on the job. And what learning are we talking about? How do you know when it's an innovation, or how do we know when it's something that's kicked off as something that's a little bit different from the usual? How do we know? What defines an innovation at job? How did you learn that it was innovation? What are we looking for? What was different about it? It's not a trick question. Whatever's on your mind, no judgment zone. The audience is much thinner now anyway, so say what you want. It was not being done before, so it was kind of different in that sense. Okay, good one. What else?
0 to 1.
Sorry?
It's like 0 to 1.
0 to 1? Okay, so as in like something which really happened quickly.
I mean, you
Okay.
create something out of which was not there earlier.
Ah, okay, so you create something out of nothing, basically. Okay, wow, okay, that's a very good one, yeah. What else? How would you know it was different? It was disruptive, okay. It was kind of very different from what was out there, which was not done before, yeah. Creative in very different ways whatsoever. Now, the question really is, can we actually teach creativity? Okay, let me pause another question for you. Who are the most creative people you know? And they're all in surrounding us, okay? No matter which country you live in, no matter where you are. Hey, good one, seafarers. All right, what else? Kids. Yes, why? Why kids? Why are they so creative all the time? Yes? Their minds have not yet been corrupted. Yes, yes. What do you mean by that? Explain more.
Well, in education, we're kind of put through this is a square, this is a circle, etc. So
Yeah.
with children, nothing makes sense like that. It's just creativity, which we've given the word creativity to.
No constraints, nothing to be worried about. In other words, maybe that box, we always say think out of the box. Maybe that box was not yet made for them, perhaps, right? So they're really good at innovation or creativity and all. What about us? Are we good at anything as adults? You gotta be, come on, right? And this is kind of, this is not something that was actually created in the last few years. This is a science which has been there for ages. In fact, in 1970, probably, that's when Francois Jacob, who's actually a Nobel Prize winner, he coined this term called day science and night science, right? So he looked at behavior when it actually comes to how our minds respond to hypotheses, how our minds respond to creativity. And he said, day science is when things are logical, it's objective, it's rational, everything is structured. We all do this on a day-to-day basis. We know what's going to happen when we go to our jobs to a certain extent. We know how things are going to play out. Everything's done in a rational decision-making way. Whereas night science is a little bit different. It's actually subjective. It's actually lively. It's messy. It's how kids' brains think. You know, they're not afraid of thinking or saying things out loud, right? So what's needed for innovation to work? Day science or night science? Night science? You think so? A mix of both, right? If everyone's running around messy and you're spending millions of dollars on crazy ideas without really thinking about it, that's not how it works. So in reality, that's in one word, if you got to summarize it, there are many different scientific terminologies there, but don't think about it too complexly. It's night science and then day science. Or in other words, you often have an idea, you often have some things which are not completely figured out yet. You have a plan, you have an experiment to run, and then you kind of filter that process. There's this whole divergent/convergent thinking. That's another word of doing it, right? So you have all these ideas which gets filtered through this funnel, and then you actually apply your logical brain and see if it makes sense or not. So it's a process that goes on and ever, right? And that's innovation to a certain extent. But then the other question that we need to ask is, where does innovation sit in within the wider organizational context, right? And again, this is just based on a little bit of experience, so it's not an exact science, so don't kill me if I'm not resonating with all of you. At least what I've seen is almost every organization that's been out there for a while, be that a startup that's just formed 6 months ago, or be that a 100-year-old shipping company, it always starts with an idea. Someone has this great idea about how things could be different. Someone has a disruptive idea about how things can be done completely differently. And you have what's called founders, right? I mean, today we call them in the startup context, but hey, a 100-year-old company was once a founder-led company. It was actually created by maybe 1 or 2 people, maybe 3 or 4 people, you never know. What happens after that, once you actually get into this whole founder idea fit? The next step is for you to raise capital. The next step is for you to actually launch your product in the market, whatever that product or service looks like, and then you start going over a period of time, right? So as time sort of progresses and your sort of company starts growing more and more and more, let's say you're at this high growth stage. Your innovative idea, your product, your service, it's working really great in the market. You raised a lot of money. Everything is great. What kind of skill set are you looking for in the market? Innovation skill set or managerial skill set? Who do you need? Who do you recruit? The latter, right? So people who can execute, people who can actually get things done so you can actually keep on growing, right? You're reaching a space where you need more operational control, you need processes, you need structure. Things are moving very fast. You don't have to worry so much about innovation anymore. You just need to execute, you need to start growing and growing and growing, right? You reach a period where you have management teams, board of directors, X, Y, and Z. Everyone's working together to make sure that things are moving fast. Everyone's working together to make sure that you scale until a point where you stop growing as much as you were growing before, right? But then what do? You try out kind of like more management and control. You just need to make sure that revenues and growths and sales forecasts are actually working all the time, to the point in some cases where revenue is extreme. You probably won't go there. But in some cases, things start dipping a little bit more. And then usually you start thinking and saying that why are we not so innovative anymore? What happened to our innovation DNA? Why are we not doing things as great as what we used to do before? Let's go and hire some innovation consultants and let them tell us why, right? Trust me, I used to be an innovation consultant, so I used to be called in at different parts of this curve, usually more or less in that middle to the latter part, when people kind of figure out that, okay, things are usually not going as well as I planned it was, and we need to try different ways of doing things. And again, that makes things a little bit harder, because what do you want to do then, right? I mean, do you want to fix your processes? Do you want to do things that's different? Do you want to do disruptive things? Which brings us to the next slide, which is, again, classic innovation theory. It's out there. You can Google this stuff. It's called the innovation horizons. So there are 3 basic horizons that exist: incremental, adjacent, and disruptive. So you can call it as serving the existing needs, fixing things internally. That's your incremental innovation. Second is your adjacent one. So maybe creating new adjacent capabilities, maybe serving a slightly different set of business users. Disruptive can be anything. It can be a new product. It can be a completely new business model that's being launched out there, right? What do you want to do? Where do you want to play? I don't think I have an answer for that, to be honest, because it's a very, very hard question to answer. And this is the part where I kind of want to talk a little bit about some best practices, some things that we have actually used when we actually kickstarted the department in Hafnia, and sort of where we are today with everything that's been happened, right? So first and foremost, I think as a rule of thumb, one thing that I can say is that if you're brand new to innovation, if you have been there for a while, and you have kind of fallen into that, process-oriented structure, going and thinking about doing something completely disruptive is maybe going to be a little bit different, right? I just want to talk a little bit about what our sort of journey has been. And we started the innovation department sort of in early 2020. That's when we kicked things off. And again, over a period of time, I would love to call ourselves as getting matured. I'm not going to say anything about disruptive and that and all. Again, more buzzwords. We don't want to go there. But I'll talk to you a little bit about what we did and where we are now, right? So initially, first things. So when we kicked off, baby steps. We just wanted to make sure that what we are going to do is to set some mission and vision about what exactly do you want to do. As an organization, what is the people focus that we have? Are we actually getting our people excited about innovation, right? So if you're a department sitting there with no idea what the rest of the organization, if the organization has no idea what you're doing, that's probably a setting you up for failure immediately, right? So we wanted to make sure that we convey the message. We wanted people to be a big part of it as well. And as we kind of move a little bit later in, we started seeing that internal impacts, or some of those low-hanging fruits, as you like to call it. How can we actually put money and sort of tangible outputs to internal process developments, which can actually result in some impact rather quickly? So quick wins is another way of calling it, right? It's important to have quick wins, trust me, because otherwise, the longer the process is, people just get bored and they're like, yeah, well, innovation department's been there for like a year, I haven't seen anything. So make a little bit of noise, see what's going on, fix a few things, right? As you kind of move into that later circles, we started believing in more and more work in the open innovation system. So we started working with startups. That started attracting more external partners. We sort of worked with investors. We started investing in a few of these startups here and there as well. As in we move a little bit more into 2022, we started building new ventures. We started actually doing things in partnership and in collaboration with others as well. And I know collaboration is, again, used very liberally in a lot of these scenarios, but we'll talk about some specific examples, right? And to where we are at the end of 2022, or to be honest, like a few weeks ago, we've actually just launched Studio 3050, which is now probably a consortium-based approach to solving some of the growing pains that startups have in our industry, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Kind of our journey so far over a period of 3 years, right? I just want to share a little bit also about results, right? Because at the end of the day, results are important. I won't be having a job if I can't deliver. So what type of results are we looking for? Tangible versus intangible results. I believe almost every innovation conversation often results in tangible results. That's what people love to say. They want to say things like this. Oh, we wanted to measure efficiency gains through automation, and we improved our amount of time that people spend has reduced by 50%. We actually did that. I don't know if you guys are familiar with ESG reporting. As listed organization, the amount of time and money that people have to spend in getting this right, it's a 6 to 7 months long process. It starts way, way, way earlier on. We completely automated it by working with a startup. So that has resulted in significant gains. Of course, you see other things like measuring the reductions in your emissions by working with startups. Another great example we had was how do we actually improve the customer engagement of our pool partners by introducing digital solutions. All of this can be measured. These are all tangible things. What about intangibles? What are some of the things, maybe in your experience, that you have actually seen where innovation can bring in a bit of change in the organization, but it's not really super obvious? It's not very much measured on a scale or a revenue scale. Anything comes to mind? Sorry?
Interaction at the grassroots level on the ships.
Oh, tell me more. I want to know more. Interaction with the grassroots level on the ship. Okay, what does that mean?
By possibly a cook
Okay,
actually speak his mind out
yeah,
with regards to what safety and efficiency on board a vessel is. He's got a tool
yeah,
by which he can communicate to the higher ups,
yeah,
which he rarely gets, instead of the the top-down approach whereby most of the time he's speaking to the master or the chief engineer. How about, because today's crew they're well informed, they're well educated, so why not just use their brains other than their hands too?
we did exactly that. But we'll talk about that in a minute. But why is it, so to my point, what impact does it have on the organization? Yes, Hakon. Okay. It activates more creative thinkers within the wider organization. And as a result of that, what happens?
You will see more solutions to problems being proposed. People are more forward-leaning because they see the company is more forward-leaning.
Yeah.
Enable what to call it a digital culture.
Yeah.
Forward-leaningness, yeah.
You would actually see more people responding with ideas, right? There is an inherent mindset that, oh, you know what, I had it at the back of my mind. I was a little bit afraid to bring it up, but it seems like it's okay to bring it up. Maybe something will happen to it, maybe it won't, but at least I can actually bring it up, right? So culturally, it's very powerful, right? So we had a few metrics. How many people are engaged in innovation within the organization, right? And I know it's not really the best of the matrix, but at least we get a sense of what we call innovation activity. Now, people, are they kind of being part of sprints, accelerators? Are they kind of coming up with new ideas over a period of time? Are they engaged in innovation? Second is that how do you actually offer innovation as part of your brand? When someone talks about, think back, when someone mentions the name of the organization that you're working in today, does it ring bell that, okay, innovation is associated with your organization's name? It's a very intangible thing to say. There's no, of course you can be published in a lot of newspapers and articles and all of that different thing. But if someone comes in and says, okay, I'm working for this company, oh yeah, that company, at the back of my mind, there's this feeling that it's an innovative organization. I don't know how to put my finger on it, I'd say, but I know for a fact it does. So brand, there's a lot of activities and there's a lot of metrics and measurements in terms of how your brand and innovation can be associated. We haven't done any of that formally, but we are trying to get on that bandwagon of associating our brand with innovation a little bit more. And last but not the least, how do you align your long-term strategic goals with innovation? Again, as an organization which has an innovation department, if your organizational strategy is not aligned with your innovation strategy, man, go find a different job. To be honest, don't do it. Because you are setting yourself up for failure, and you're going to fail everyone else that's going to come along with you for the ride. So do not promise things that your organization are strategically not capable of doing and not wanting to do it, okay? Don't go out there and spread that message. So make sure that whatever you want to do, so people say, decarbonization, I want to decarbonize. Okay, great. Is innovation part of your strategy? Oh my God, yes. Okay, then what does that mean? What are you actually trying to do about it, right? I mean, you don't have to come up with an answer which says, I'm going to reduce my emissions by 10% by 3 years or 4 years or something, but have a goal. Make sure that you're actually aligning your strategy and your innovation goals a little bit together, right? Because otherwise, it kind of doesn't make sense. So we got there. We got to a place where we got comfortable, and then we started asking a slightly more bigger question. How do we create industry-wide impact? How do we actually create impact not within the organization, but outside the organization. And the immediate answer that we got right away was that we can't do it alone. We just can't create industry impact as one organization, especially maybe not as an organization with our scale. We're a small company at the end of the day. So how do we do that? How do we actually go out there and create a little bit more impact? So I just want to talk a little bit about two examples that I have. But before I do that, I just want to point out to a list of partners over there. These partners are dear and near to us because they helped us in using innovation as a driver for making some tangible impact in a topic which the industry is facing a lot of issues on. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Everyone talks about it, right? How many tangible actions / outputs / initiatives have you seen there which you can put your finger on and say, okay, there are some things going on in there which I think is making the industry a little bit better? We couldn't find a lot. So we did what we launched this Maritime DEI Lab back in early 2022, where we worked with these partners and we said, anyone in the maritime industry, anyone who's willing to listen, if you have an idea on how to improve DEI issues within the broader maritime industry, then bring those issues to the table. What we will do is we'll shortlist them, we'll invite the participants who come up with these issues to an actual hackathon, where we'll look at these issues, hack them, find out digital solutions, because digital solutions can scale a lot more quickly and spread across the different organizations, more than a physical solution or an initiative can. And we are actually going to then make that digital solution into a reality. Or in other words, we are going to put time and money and commitments from all the different partners together to realize your idea into a tangible digital product. And there are two outputs that came out of it. Both of these are social ventures. What you see on the right side, we launched in the previous cycle of this. It's called Seacode. It's an anti-harassment platform for seafarers that they can use. We had a lot of success with it, and now it's actually incorporated as part of ISWAN, which a lot of you may know. It's the largest sort of anti-harassment bureau there in the world. It's a nonprofit that's run. So Seacode is now part of an offering from the ISWAN. So we integrated it, but it was an initiative that we piloted and it ran really well. This year we are launching SeaBuddy. Is there a mentor-mentee platform for seafarers out there? No. Well, now you do. So how do you actually make these things a reality? Honestly, a lot of work, a lot of trial, a lot of sort of experimentation, seeing if it works, testing it out in the market. But again, can't really do it without the ability of the ecosystem to work together on it. So that's why, like I said, anything that's probably worth doing at a level where it needs to create an organizational impact, I don't have a solution of doing it alone. Like you may have bigger ones, you may be part of larger organizations where you could do that. For us, it's always with this way. So that got us thinking a lot more, what else can we do? And that's where we are today. So we are launching what we call sort of a co-venturing scenario, or sort of a co-venturing platform. And I'm not going to go too much into ventures because Sean's going to kill me, and he's got a session coming up next after this. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what are we trying to do. Traditionally, most organizations, and venture building is all the rage now, so again, not going to go into the details of it, but usually you build in silo. You're building new products and solutions in your organization. You're launching it in the market. You can scale probably within your organizational limits, and you're doing all the investment by yourself. Basically, what we're saying is, let's just do all of that together. So at the beginning of this year, we launched Studio 3050. Studio 3050, by the way, what is 3050? Any clues? Years? All right, okay, good one. 2030 and 2050. We're actually saying that there are big milestones coming up, but we don't want to just concentrate on what's coming in 20 years from now. We want to do something today about what impact we can make in the short term, as well as what we can make in the long term, essentially. So we have some of our partners here, Williamson Hafnia, IMC, DNB, Microsoft has joined this as a big initiative, Veracity and MP as well. So what we want to do is we want to offer a platform which is run in collaboration with partners for those three different set of profiles over there. So someone who is a young founder, or a founder, doesn't matter if he's young or not, or she's young or not, someone who actually wants to try their hands in building a new company in the maritime industry. Today, there are not many vehicles for them to do that. They may go through a traditional accelerator, which the names I shall not mention, and they may actually secure a little bit of funding and go out there and try their products. But maritime as an industry is a hard-to-enter industry. It's not very easy if you're a new founder knocking on the doors of large shipping companies. We want to accelerate that process for them, right? The second category is you have a really great idea. You're a startup founder, and you have actually finally founded your startup. But it's not in maritime. It's in fintech. Maybe it's in rail transportation. Maybe it's in aviation. And you're thinking out there, wait a minute, maybe my product does have an application in the maritime industry. Who do I speak to? Come join us, right? We'll give you that access, we'll give you that networks, we'll give you that investment that you're looking for. And last but not the least, it's also open for some of the partner companies as well to send in their employees to hash out their ideas as well. Only condition is if your idea is selected, well, you can't have a comfy and cushy job anymore. So that's where we are. And look, I think I'm not saying all of these things as a way of saying that we've done something that's great or big or anything, but it's just kind of looking at a buzzword at the beginning, as I said, innovation. What does that mean? How do you actually translate that to more sort of tangible things that people can put their hands on and say, okay, I know about that, I know about this, okay, this is something that's interesting that's happening in the industry. And also, how do you make it into something that's more intangibles? You know, how do you actually hear the sentiments of seafarers and turn something for them, right? How do you actually get ideas from a grassroots level and then bring them up to a senior position where you can actually kind of make something tangible about it? And that's where we are, and that's kind of a short and sweet, we have 2 minutes to spare to where we are. This is going to be hard because I got to do this all by myself. No panel. Anyone want to come and help me? No, just any questions? No? Yes? Look at that, no questions. Oh, wait, are you guys going to submit it? No. All right. That's all I got to say. I mean, look, 30 minutes went by quickly, and thank you for your support and your engagement. I know it's towards the end of the day, so really appreciate it. Hopefully all the coffee helped. And if you got to reach out to me, reach out to me. My details will be here somewhere, and more than happy to take on any questions later on as well. But thank you so much. Appreciate it.